Hey guys, Roper here, and I wanted to do a quick video to demonstrate how you can use the selection tools in Photoshop to cut out an object or a person from a photo that you're using. So I opened up one of the sample photos that I shared with you guys. This is the one of the Megan Rapinoe. And what I want to do is come over to my, I'm going to come into Photoshop here. And let me just move my screen around a little bit. There we go. So in Photoshop, your fourth tool down are your selection tools. And here's where you have quick selection and magic wand. Let's start with quick selection. The way that this tool works is it's a brush. So if you zoom in on your photo with Control Plus, and you can change the size of that brush using the two bracket keys on your keyboard. So one bracket's going to make it larger, one bracket's going to make it smaller. Okay. And what I'm going to do is start clicking and dragging around the person or the object if you're cutting an object out. And you'll notice that the selection tool grabs on to any pixels that look similar. Now I can make my brush smaller, and as long as I see that little plus sign in the middle of my brush, that means everything I touch is getting added to the selection. So I'm going to go around and get her hair, her arm, her hand, and then I'll stop for a second. Now it's done a pretty good job so far, but it got a little bit confused right here and it started grabbing parts of the crowd. Up at the top of your screen, you have some options where you can switch from add selection to subtract from selection. So I'm going to take subtract and I'm going to push back against those ones that I don't want. So I don't want the crowd. I don't want the crowd over here. And you'll see how it snaps back against her body. Okay. I can switch back and forth between add and subtract until I've selected all of the subject. So let's go in here. I'm just going to grab a leg. And you don't necessarily have to hold down your mouse while you're brushing. You can also just click around. And it does a pretty good job of figuring out what it is you're trying to select and just automatically finding those edges. It's really powerful in Photoshop. I'm also going to get the soccer ball for this. So let me go ahead and select that as part of my object. Okay. Now I've got a really good selection at this point. You can see that everything's outlined with my dotted lines. I haven't got any weird leftovers here. So at this point, I can actually come over to my layers palette and we're going to find this icon right here. This is the icon for add a mask. When you click it, automatically everything in the background disappears. Okay. And it's not that it's been deleted, it's just hidden by that new mask layer that we created. Now, I just noticed something I did wrong here. I actually didn't grab part of her jersey in the middle. So it's created a hole in the middle of her chest. This is why it's so good to have a mask, because what I can do is paint that part back in. Remember that whenever you have a mask selected, you can grab a paintbrush, choose the color white, and anything you paint with white becomes revealed again underneath the mask. Anything that you want to get rid of, you just switch to black and that erases from the object. Okay. So I can use my white and my black. If there's little areas of the mask that look kind of funky, like her sleeve right here, I'm going to switch to white, make my brush a little bit smaller. I'm just going to paint it right back in. So you get nice, clean selections. It also looks like I erased part of her forehead and face right here. So I'm just going to put that back in. And then I'm going to take my black and clean up any little weird edges I see there. Now this is a pretty good selection. Okay. Once you have your selection, then you can start to have all kinds of fun with it in Photoshop. You can duplicate it by right-clicking the layer and duplicating the layer. Okay. It may ask you for a name. You can just hit OK. And now you've got two copies, which can be moved, which can be rotated, resized. You can flip them so they're facing the opposite way. There's lots of different things you can do just by going to the edit menu and choosing transform, scale, rotate, skew, distort. Play around with those and see some of the things that you can do with it. Okay? Like I could even put it like that and make it look like they're crossing over. You can also create silhouettes this way. So now that I have this layer, I can go down to my adjustment layers, click solid color, and fill that whole layer with a color of my choosing. I'm just going to pick red here. You'll notice that that red color fill is covering up the entire layer underneath of it. So what I want to do is right click and create clipping mask. And what that's going to say is fill red only what's directly underneath. So it fills in the selection that I just made. And now I've got a pretty cool mask layer. Okay. And I think I can even continue to add to this mask. Oops. Let's get some white here. If I notice some areas that look a little rough, because I'm on that mask layer, I can paint with white and I can smooth out any weird edges that I see to get a nice clean silhouette. Okay, so that's basically what we're going to be doing along this project. I wanted to show you one other thing. I can also take that color layer and I can change it from normal to one of these blending modes. And remember, multiply makes everything underneath of it darker. Screen makes everything lighter. Overlay puts the color over everything. Or if you want to get really funky, put it on difference and it reverses all the colors out. So experiment with some of these different color settings and see what you can create to make a really awesome graphic. Have fun with this, guys, and we'll check in again with you on Friday and see how the projects are coming along.